All right, so people that actually play Destiny, fill us in. Fill us in because I've got no idea.
It's a lot of changes. That was a pretty girthy twab. Probably the thing that was probably the most controversial change was that they're removing quick draw, not from all aggressive frame shotguns, but they're removing it from the Astral Horizon and the Felwinter's Lie and replacing it with Surplus, which by the way is a fantastic perk. And by the way, you can get quick draw speeds even without quick draw on those things. There's ways to make it happen. And there's several videos out there that are like, listen guys, it's not a big deal. Here's what you do. So in the long run, is it going to change a lot? I don't know. But that was the thing that's most controversial.
I think it's still a big deal now. Fallout's like, oh, it's still going to be top dog. Probably, right? But it's like the fact
he's never right about anything.
The fact that true. The fact that you can't like just automatically get a plus 100 handling all the time is a big deal. And I think people are trying to downplay it and say, oh, you can just put on 2, shotgun dexterity mods or whatever
and targeting.
Exactly. Here's the problem though. That costs a lot of your resource, like your armor energy. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm generally pretty full. And it's like, am I gonna have to sacrifice a reloader perk, sacrifice like high energy fire, sacrifice the friends perk that gives you plus 20 mobility.
I use a lot of charge with light mods.
Exactly
right.
So it's like, if you don't use any charge with light mods, no big deal. But if you like, these things are going to have
cost like 5.
These things are going to have a real impact on your build. And very importantly, it means that you're actually going to have to use more than one brain cell when you're picking a shotgun. You're actually going to have to like think about which is the best one. So I think it's a good change. But importantly, I want us to say, Tash, because Tash kind of said, how often, like, 50% of our videos are baiting if Destiny 2 is dead or saved. You know what I mean? So it's like, does this really matter in the grand scheme of things? But it's important to note that this is like one part. They're going to be unveiling more changes. And this is a pretty significant part. Like, this is going to impact a huge part of the meta. So it's one of those things I want to ask you about, Tash. It's like, Stasis has already been nerfed quite a bit. It's still annoying as heck, but definitely not as bad as it was when you quit. Now we're getting, the shotgun apes calm down quite a bit. Bastions calm down, with this nerf. So it's like, how many changes would they need to make for you to be willing to come back?
They'd have to make Destiny 3. No, okay, so they just nerfed 120s as well, right? Or they're in the process.
They're going to do they're calming it down a little bit.
A range pullback, kind of halfway between what they used to be and then the current state, right?
I guess so, yeah.
And that's kind of cool because 120s have been pretty dominant. I haven't really played with them, not gonna lie. I haven't touched them since they came out. So I don't know how good they were, but
insane.
I was always a fan of the 150s, just the feel of them. And
they're dead now. No one uses 150s. Complete missed move by Bungie right there.
Right. And I don't know. I'm curious how much the changes even make me care because I just don't know how much I enjoy sniping someone anymore. And I don't know how much I enjoy shooting someone with a shotgun anymore. I have a weird feeling that I think I'm just like perpetually burnt out on Destiny. And I don't know what they could do to bring me back at this point. Other than PvE content, which is weird enough. Because I don't want to go back and grind Rumble every day. Like, if they added some crazy, weird endgame or some ranked system that maybe made me want to kind of compete and, like, go in there, for sure. But the rewards in PvP are meh. Trials, I find Trials the most boring game mode ever. I think you guys even probably remember, like, Ryan, you, Hovey, and Manigator were playing Trials, like, all the time, even in the first game. Yeah. And a lot of the weekends, I just wouldn't play it. I would just play Rumble instead because I've never loved Trials. It can do amazing things for your channel if you want to do carries. But like one of the main game modes in the game is one of my least enjoyable game modes. And so, I don't know if PvP is ever going to change to the point where I'm like, I got to get in there. That's the sad thing.
The reason I ask is because it's like an interesting debate. It's like, these changes I think are good, except for some of the PvE changes I'm not sure about. Like they're nerfing the Lament and they're also nerfing the Fallen Guillotine. And the only reason I'm not sure about that, like it's very logical that they would nerf them. They're such a high part of the meta. But it's like, why give it to us and find like swords are finally good. They see a lot of play. People enjoy these weapons. And it's like, and 2 seasons later, they're like, all right, dial it back. And they nerfed swords last season too. And it's like, yes, the Lament is fantastic, but at some point, it's like linear fusion rifles. That's one of the things they mentioned they're going to buff. It's like linear fusion rifles are so far behind. The concern should be bringing some of those things up to parity before nerfing everyone's favorite thing. And especially in PvE, it's like, who you hurting? The dregs? Like, calm down, right? You know, It's like no one uses Lament in a Grandmaster because you get one shot for peeking your head out of cover anyways. So it's like, oh no, people are going to do a Battlegrounds activity faster? Oh no, Bungie,
Right.
like, we got to stop this. It's kind of like, focus your attention on more important things, in my opinion. But the reason, anyway, I'll get off topic. The reason I asked is because, like, are they treading water at this point? In a sense of they're fixing everything, but we're kind of just getting back to the place we were at before everything was broken. We're kind of getting back to where Season of Arrivals was. And it's like, I think at this point, they need to not just fix the game, they need to add new stuff, have a huge influx of new maps, have like new modes, a new maybe a scoring system or some sort of like ranked system that the rewards actually matter.
I don't want to just play Midtown anymore. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you, but I just don't want to. I don't want to
maps
do
in the
it.
game are still beta maps.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yes,
like,
dude.
chapter 4's up, let's go. It was a beta map. Endless fail, yes, I'm a beta map.
Like if they added like capture the flag or like King of the Hill type game modes, because here's the thing is they have not added new interesting game modes, and when they do, a lot of them fall flat, unfortunately. Like honestly, I know maybe not everyone loved Rift, but Rift was pretty fun, and I think a lot of people did like Rift.
It was unique,
it was different, it was unique, right? But then they add things like Lockdown, which is just how can I spawn camp you and stop you from locking down the longest and just rack up kills? And like there's a lot of game modes where you could just kind of abuse them for kills and not even play the objective, or it was essentially just Slayer in disguise. You know, it was just like, if I kill you more, we win.
They need more, because if they add a new playlist, it's like, who gives a crap?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's fun, people have fun, but it's like, I feel like if they're going to do something, they add back Rift, but then they add a whole actual ranking, like a Halo 3 style ranking system, and you can only play Rift if you're ranked like 30 to 50. So only the best people can play ranked. You have to get your rank up, or sorry, only the best people can play Rift, and then Rift gives like double rewards or something, or like a way higher drop to get the Crucible exclusive gear. So everyone's trying to get their rank up so they can unlock, like, I'm not saying
force
they should,
them in, like funnel them in, kind of
I'm
thing.
not saying they should 100% do exactly what I said, but something along those lines where it's like an actual mechanism of play. It's not just like we have all these random game modes. They all give the same rewards. So like, what is the point? And we'll talk about that in Outriders, but it's like, I'm just going to do the one that ends the fastest if I want rewards, right?
Right.
So that kills a lot of their potential game modes. And the same thing is with Strikes. That's why the Proving Grounds, the original version, couldn't be that long. Or like it's the Grandmaster again. No one gives a crap because it's hard. It's like, well, I'm just gonna wait until I can select the Grandmaster and do the easiest one.
Yeah.
Right. Here's my thing: is I feel like there's so much, because we've been playing it for so long. Like it is 100% a me issue. Like I understand it's a burnout issue, but I feel like the game is so methodical that it's like, all right, in this Trials game, I'm going to go to this lane, I'm going to hard scope it, I'm going to get a pick, we're going to push in. Like, it feels very methodical, and even when I play a lot of the other PvP maps, it's like, all right, these are the main lanes I should hold down, and I play really aggressive because I get bored, and I just want to slide in with shotties and just do whatever I can to make a big play. But if they did add something like a capture the flag, or if they did put in something like, what's it called? King of the Hill. King of the Hill. I think that changes things, because I'm fighting in the hill, and I see people are coming in that hill, and it's like, now I'm popping the super to defend this spot. Because right now, you get a couple kills, you pop your super, and you just push into them. It'd be really interesting to, like, have more defensive supers. Or someone is getting away with the flag, and you use that Yeet Titan, the missile, right? Thunder Crash, and frickin' follow him through the hallways and slam him to shut him down. Right? I feel like something like that, changing the gameplay up and, like, giving some of these maybe... Like what's the Chaos Reach? Chaos Reach, people kind of abuse it, but you know, what if there were some maps where you've got a really good sight line to the flag and you can shut it down from a distance? I would love to see things get creative. That's 100%. That's what I need.
But again, you need to pair them with certain rewards. Have Slayer all the time, or Clash all the time, and then you have like Gold Clash or like Elite Clash, and it's only the top ranked people. You have to be a certain like again that ranking system. I think that would be so healthy for the PvP because then it would funnel the hardcores there, so the dads don't get crushed, right? If they're just trying to have fun. No, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like it kind of alleviates, it gets the hardcore people to go, but there's better rewards. So you're like funneled towards trying to something like that. You can't just add random game modes that come and disappear with no incentive to play them.
Yeah, like a limited time mode in Apex or something like that, where it's like maybe you get some. And what were you trying to weigh in with that, Ryan?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna circle back to something that's been said since Destiny 1 launched that I think adds a whole lot of replayability to a game that's repetitive, like Destiny can be. Forge mode and theater mode.
Yeah, so hard to do though.
It's hard to do, but literally, hear me out. What Bungie ended up doing with Halo is they said, let's just give them one big sandbox, right? They gave us that big, it's like the OG Blood Gulch, and then it had another separate island, and then the big hangar, and then it was just a huge space, and players could modify it as they saw fit. So it's not like we don't need it with every map, but if you gave us a sandbox and said, here's a map, and here's some modifiers, you can modify the map and make some changes, put cover here, whatever, make your own maps, and they would be pretty. Honestly, they would look pretty primitive, probably. You know, just like the Halo 3.
Well, look at Foundry. Yeah, like Foundry. By the time the game was done, like most of the MLG maps were built in Foundry by players.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
And like some of the funnest game modes, like Griffball, was just like Foundry leveled out with some modifiers, right?
But, I just like you just make funny stuff. Yeah,
you're right, but with this engine, with what the tools they're using, I don't know if it's possible to create a Forge mode. Like I literally don't. So you could, but you could have that same concept. Let's say every season they have a community competition. You're able to submit maps, so people submit like drawings and of what a map would be, and the artists could get in on it, and then people vote on the map, and then Bungie makes that map.
But they won't. They haven't even made their own maps. They're not going to make our maps. Like they haven't even made a map in 2 fucking years.
The last new wave of maps that was Forsaken, and they all got cycled out because they're terrible.
Yeah. How the heck? Yeah, and you know what? It's also like, man, that's so freaking true. Like it's like we can't even talk about them adding Forge mode. Just make some more maps. What are you guys doing over there? It's so true. Like 2 years, no maps. You know what's also crazy? It's like the maps aren't even. I feel like they try to over perfect. If a map is bad, take it out after a while and replace it or make some changes or something, right? Like for God's sakes, just do something. Just make some map. People complain about Call of Duty having 3-lane maps because it's too simplistic. The Trials map last weekend was a damn 2-lane map. You could go 2 different ways. And it's like, how is it that hard to make it? You go this way or you go that way? That's it. I can make this in a weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I mean, that's the thing is like the maps don't have to be amazing. They just have to be different and something new and just like honestly, if you put a map which is like one room with 5 dumpsters in the middle and that was the only cover, people would play it and be like, this is weird, it's hectic, it's crazy, but it's different. And people would play it. They might get tired of it quickly, but honestly, at this point, if you just put an open field and with like fast spawns and just like made it like a crazy free for all on a field, I would probably like that more than the current maps, just because it would be
take like a patrol area, like take with the first area where Devrim is. That's a map. You got the building in the middle. Outside, you got some random cover. You can go inside the buildings. Boom, there you go. There's a map.
I just want Octagon from Halo. That's all I want, and just to 1v1 people and work on my shot. That's like,
and like I know people will hear this and it's kind of unfair because I'm sure if like a dev heard this, they'd be like, "Oh my god, guys, it's so much more than what you're making it." But like, come on, it's been 2 years and no new maps.
Yeah, it's also a perception thing. Like you can say making games is hard over and over and over again, but it still doesn't change the way that the community interacts with the content that you've created. So, I mean, that'll only go so far. Eventually, you gotta appease your consumers, and right now, your consumers are kind of like, we need something new.
So that's the big issue. It's like all of these changes are great, but it's just getting things back to where they should be. Like,
yes, exactly.
We're getting
it's not
things
like
back on track. We're not
Just a bunch of course correcting.
Yeah, it's getting it back to parity, whereas it should be better than where it was, right? And I saw some of the comments was like 600 RPM autos were like so annoying. It's like, dude, at least people used guns in that meta. Like, at least people were shooting at you in that meta.
It was annoying, but it was like one of the only 2 metas we've ever had that isn't a hand cannon meta.
Yeah, and the hand cannon users were so. I swear you could put those 600s in this meta with how good 120s are, and they would be fine. Like, people would still use 120s. Like,
I mean,
maybe
people still used 150s. It's just
people still use 150s. You had more variety. Almost more. You actually did have more variety in the auto rifle meta than you do now. Because like the only it's 120s and Dead Man's Hand. That's it.
Right.
That's the only primaries you see.
Yeah, the Dead Man's Hand I think is a big issue.
Dead Man's Tail.
But it's exotic.
TNT isn't a problem on console though. I'll tell you that right now.
It's just PC. People spamming hip fires and
that's what I did all weekend. But for across the map.